Tonight, the province unveils its plan to reopen schools in September.
We're going to get our kids back to school in a way that looks and feels as much as it used to.
Elementary students will return to class full-time. Most high school students will use a hybrid model. We'll have the details and the reaction. Plus,
83% of people who are testing COVID positive were from racialized groups.
the City of Toronto released race-based data today showing that people of color have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. And break out the popcorn. Cineplex is opening up movie theaters across the province as Toronto and Peel enter Stage 3 at midnight. Good evening, I'm Marivel Tarouk. With just a little over a month to go before school resumes, the province has released details on what that will look like. It will have been nearly 6 months since students were in class. Lorenda Redekop explains what's in the highly anticipated announcement.
You can drop your child off at school, knowing that every possible measure is being taken to keep our children safe.
Elementary students will be headed back to regular classes every day for 5 hours. Lunch will be eaten inside the classroom, not the cafeteria, or at staggered times.
We need to look at the children's health, and it is not healthy for them to keep staying at home. They need to go to school. They need to go to school for their development, for their health, their physical, social, and mental well-being.
Masks will be encouraged for younger kids up to grade 3, mandatory for grades 4 and up, with exceptions granted. PPE provided for teachers.
The advice I have received from public health is that the risk is greater amongst those older children in high school.
In high schools, in larger school boards, students will spend half the time in class, the other half working remotely, kept in cohorts of 15. In smaller and northern school boards, it'll be full-time. The government is committing to spend an extra $309 million. The biggest chunk, $80 million for extra staffing, including 500 public health nurses, plus extra cleaning. The opposition argues it's not enough.
It is clear that the Ford government has put together the lowest cost bargain basement scheme that they could come up with. And it is going to put both our kids' health and their academic success at risk.
Unions are frustrated too and say they weren't consulted.
Extremely problematic. Grocery stores, bars, and gyms in this province have more safety protocols in place than our classrooms will come September.
Families who aren't comfortable going back to school can opt out, with children learning online. Teachers who don't want to return would be expected to teach online classes. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Parents, students, teachers, and others who work in schools all waited anxiously for the province's announcement. But despite having more details, concerns remain. Kelda Yoon has more from the biggest stakeholders in the back-to-school plan.
I'm pretty upset.
Rachel Hewitt has 2 children in elementary school, including Sadie, who's 9.
While I do support returning to full-time school, I think that there needs to be serious money put towards a safe return, and that's the piece that was missing today.
She doesn't think the funding and proposed measures are enough and is still undecided whether to have her kids return in September.
The immediate things that are missing that jump out are class size. Every medical opinion that I have read has said that we need 15 or lower to keep kids safe in class.
A Sick Kids report released yesterday suggested cutting class sizes, among other recommendations. Athena Reich is a single mom of 2 children. On one hand, she's relieved.
We are doing a full-time opening and that we are investing money into it.
But like Hewitt, she's also concerned.
My kid is going to be in a full-size kindergarten class, and that my mom is 77 years old. She's in our bubble. We see her regularly, almost daily. She is immunocompromised. I am a little nervous. I would prefer that they cut those classes in half.
Meanwhile, for high school students, it will be an adjustment, being in class half the time.
I think it's good that it's hybrid, but also I'm iffy how the learning's gonna be in class and out of class and in class and out of class.
Besides concerns about learning, Isha Chauhan says she also has concerns about safety.
High school students, you have to wear a mask. Do you think it's something that would be easy to enforce?
I don't think it's gonna be easy. I don't think people are gonna listen. If you're talking to a teacher and you have a question, it's gonna be so hard to talk to the mask. So it's like some people are just like not gonna like they're gonna put it like down. They're not gonna cover it properly. Like they're gonna feel like overwhelmed with it on, like really sweaty in classrooms.
Well, it's a lot to digest, and we're going to certainly need to take the time to digest it and look it over.
Sherry Schwartz-Maltz from the TDSB says the school board is glad there is some direction now. She says a survey will be going out to parents next week.
And that's where we're going to hear about people's concerns, and that's where we're going to hear about specific obstacles, and that's where we're going to have to find the solutions.
Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
In less than an hour, Toronto and Peel will enter Stage 3. One of the major changes includes movie theaters. Cineplex says it will open 25 theaters across Ontario tomorrow. Tickets will be selling for as low as $5 for some new releases. There will be reserved seating at all locations, with the theater blocking off certain spots to ensure physical distancing. About 50 people will be allowed in per auditorium. The theaters will also limit concessions to mainly just popcorn, and moviegoers will have to wear masks inside the theater, but only in communities where it's mandated. Cineplex has already reopened 45 locations in provinces where distancing restrictions have been loosened. A new layer of screening for travelers heading through Pearson Airport tonight. Temperature checks for all departing passengers.
Feels okay. At least they're doing what they can to keep us safe.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, make sure everything is safe and protected.
A good idea. I think they should keep it up.
Almost everyone we spoke with felt the checks are a positive measure. The Canadian Air Transport Security Authority is now required to take the temperature of anyone going through a passenger or staff security checkpoint. The procedure is now in place at the country's 4 largest airports. Passengers must have a temperature below 38 degrees Celsius to board a flight. The checks are meant to determine if someone has a fever, a key symptom of COVID-19. We are getting a clearer picture of the types of people getting COVID-19 in Toronto. City officials say data indicates Black residents, people of color, and lower-income households are getting COVID-19 more than others. Farah Morali breaks down the details.
At the Black Creek Community Health Centre, Cheryl Prescott sorts through a pile of masks, just donated today. The community the centre serves is one of the hardest hit by COVID-19 in the entire city.
We've seen the marginalization in these communities. I've worked in this community for about 20 years, and we see what's happening.
Today, new numbers released by the city paint a stark picture about how people of color are disproportionately affected by COVID-19.
You can see the same ethno-racial groups have, in some cases, a much higher rate than the rate overall.
Here's what the numbers show. Black and other people of color make up 83% of reported COVID-19 cases in the city of Toronto, despite that they make up only 52% of the city's population. Among those groups, those in the Black community make up 21% of the cases, but make up only 9% of the population. Arab, Middle Eastern, or West Asian people make up 11% of the cases, but are only 4% of the population. Also in today's data, further evidence to support low-income families are at a higher risk of being infected. More than half of the reported cases live in low-income households.
So there were 2 reactions to the data. The first was that I was really happy that we have the data now. And then the second was I was quite disturbed by the findings of the data.
Dr. Kwam McKenzie has been pushing for race-based data to be collected in the health sector for years.
Some people thought that COVID would be the great equalizer. But COVID isn't the great equalizer. COVID actually exacerbates existing differences between communities.
The question now, what will the city do with this data?
There are a number of actions. The ones that can be taken immediately are already being undertaken, whether we're talking about increased access to testing or moving forward with respect to setting up supports like isolation sites.
Back at the Black Creek Community Centre, Prescott hopes for something more specific.
The communities are getting very tired of hearing the numbers, seeing these dire statistics that show that they are more at risk without any clear plan as to how it will be addressed by our government.
Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Toronto police have released images of a suspect they believe is responsible for 7 separate assaults within the last 3 months in the Roncesvalles neighborhood. This is the man they're looking for. He's believed to be between the age of 25 to 40 and between 5'8" and 5'10". The most recent incident happened in the area of Roncesvalles Avenue and the Queensway yesterday. The suspect reportedly walked up to a 30-year-old woman, spat on her, and ran away. In 6 out of the 7 assaults, the victims were women. No one has been reported being physically injured, though. Anyone with information is asked to come forward. A 16-year-old boy has been charged with second-degree murder in connection with a fatal stabbing in Mississauga on Tuesday. It happened in the area of Battleford Road and Montevideo Road. 20-year-old Ethan Nellis of Brampton was killed. The accused appeared in a Brampton court today. His identity has not been released under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Peel police say this is an ongoing investigation and are asking anyone with further information to come forward. A GTA family is speaking out after a woman in a mental health crisis wound up dead in a Toronto hospital. Her family has discovered she had an interaction with hospital security. But just what happened remains under investigation. And after 2 months, the woman's family still knows painfully little. Chris Glover shares their exclusive story.
I feel that she was marginalized, and that just, it breaks my heart.
Stephanie Warner struggled with mental health issues for years. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder in her 20s, her older sister Denise saw the global pandemic made things worse.
We were starting to notice that there was some cracks happening, I think. Fear-based, anxiety-based. It's kind of the beginning of the domino effect of what occurred with her.
This spring, Denise was uneasy as her sister was in and out of the hospital with COVID-19 symptoms. At one point, Stephanie tested positive for the coronavirus.
She had walked into a hospital to access help, and she leaves in such a, on her deathbed effectively.
In May, Denise lost track of her sister and contacted shelters and police. Then, on May 22nd, Toronto Western Hospital called her. Stephanie had been on life support for 11 days at that point, and her sister had no idea.
So I was utterly shocked and blown away.
Her shock didn't stop there. Denise learned that on May 11th, her sister had gone into cardiac arrest while being restrained by security at a different hospital, Toronto General. Denise was her sister's emergency contact and next of kin, but it took a week and a half before she was notified, and Stephanie died in hospital May 27th.
What was that like for you?
Super painful.
2 months later, and police are still investigating. An internal hospital investigation resulted in 2 staff members no longer working there and 2 others disciplined. University Health Network won't tell CBC News about the incident, citing privacy, but it also won't tell Denise, citing the ongoing police investigation. The hospital didn't even tell Denise there had been disciplinary action.
But since May 27th, I still don't know what's happened to my sister.
How does that make you feel?
It's a gaping hole. It's not I can't go through the family and friends. We can't go through the typical process of grief and mourning.
And how much younger was she?
6 years.
6 years younger?
Yeah, 6 years younger.
So how was that dynamic as little kids?
I was always her protector.
Poring over memories now, Denise promises to keep playing that protector role, even in death. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
After the break, basketball is back. The NBA season officially restarts tonight for the first time since COVID forced the league to shut down way back in March. We'll check in with Raptors superfan Nav Bhatia. Plus,
a sunny start to August, but rain will put a damper on some of your weekend plans. Your full forecast after the break.
The NBA season officially restarted tonight with a couple of high-profile games, including former Raptor Kawhi Leonard and his new team, the Clippers, taking on LeBron James and the Lakers. The Raptors will play this weekend, and while fans are excited to have the team back, they're still getting used to pandemic basketball. Greg Ross has more.
Pascal Siakam to the rim.
Not being able to watch the Raptors play live and in person is going to be difficult for many loyal fans, especially the man they call Superfan.
You've been at every home Raptors game.
Every home game, every minute of the game I've been in the arena. And this is going to be different.
But Nav Bacha says he understands why, and he's making the best of it.
I want to put a big screen here. I want to put some big screens here so that I can enjoy the game.
He says he's installing a 25-foot screen at his car dealership that is under renovation in Mississauga, which he hopes will be ready in time for the finals.
I hope that the Raptors can maybe send me my courtside seat 812, which I can put it here and watch the game here.
And although the players won't be able to see him or hear him, it won't stop him from enjoying the game the way he always does.
When the other team is shooting a free throw, are we still going to see Nav Bacha throwing a towel up in the air?
You know what? I would love to do that, but I don't know if that will. I think the players know that. I think the players know that I'm going to be supporting them by throwing the towels and all that virtually. I'll throw the towel virtually.
We're going to miss our fans, and we're certainly going to miss the electricity outside the arena.
Raptors coach Nick Nurse says the team is also adjusting to playing in front of an empty arena.
Johnson to Powell!
The biggest difference for him is the fact that everyone can hear what he is saying on the sidelines because it's so quiet.
I kind of come to the point where I didn't say much in those first three scrimmages, but I don't think I'm gonna have to do what I'm gonna have to do, whether people hear it or not.
The lack of atmosphere is taking a little getting used to for players as well.
When it comes to basketball, it's pretty pure. You can hear everything. You can communicate easily with all your teammates.
But Marc Gasol says, make no mistake, when things get real, they'll make their own atmosphere.
You don't need any extra energy for the playoffs. I mean, that's playoffs.
The Raptors will play their first official game of the restart Saturday against the Lakers. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
And the Toronto Blue Jays' upcoming series in Philadelphia has been postponed. The Jays were set to play a doubleheader Saturday and a game Sunday against the Phillies, but today the Phillies reported 2 staff members tested positive for coronavirus. Philadelphia hasn't been in action since Monday when an outbreak was discovered among the Miami Marlins, who they played against last weekend. Time for a check on your long weekend forecast with meteorologist Nick Cernkovich. Nick, we've enjoyed a lot of sun in July. How's the holiday looking?
Well, Miravel, I'd like to tell you that the sunshine will last, but in the spirit of long weekends, we have rain on the way. Now, it's not going to be a washout for the long weekend, but we do have some pretty decent rainfall to talk about coming up for Sunday. We'll get to that in the forecast. Here's a look at your weather headlines. Mild temperatures continue, so not too hot, not too cold. Pretty nice, actually. A sunny start to August as we head into Saturday, but there is some weekend rain that we're going to detail in just a second here. Today, temperatures heading up to 27 degrees in the city of Toronto with the humidex feeling as high as about 31, and that's pretty much what we're going to have for tomorrow and into Saturday as well. Generally sunny skies. So we'll see clear skies tonight, sunny skies tomorrow. There may be a little bit of afternoon cloud cover developing, but it doesn't look like we're going to see any rain from that. So just a mix of sun and cloud to mostly sunny skies tomorrow. Same story heading into Saturday as well. But Sunday, we're tracking a system that's moving up. Now, I'll tell you right off the bat here, it doesn't show up on this image. That's just as far as the model goes. But a lot of the rain looks to be tracking a bit further north of the GTA. That said, everybody should see rainfall, but if you have plans to go north of the city, I think we're going to see more in the way of heavier rainfall there. Now, these are very preliminary numbers, early numbers, but generally speaking, this model, which goes out the 3 to 4 days, this one's showing about 20 millimeters of rain in Toronto, but you can see heavier amounts as you get further north of the city. Don't put too much stock in these numbers because it can shift over the next couple of days, but it gives you an idea that some areas likely to see 20 to 40 millimeters of rain on Sunday. For tonight, southwestern Ontario, temperatures down to about 16, 17 degrees as we move through tomorrow afternoon. Similar to what we had today, mainly sunny skies, highs to about 28 degrees, humidex of about 31. Golden Horseshoe, again, pretty much the same. We've got 18 degrees through the overnight, mainly clear skies, and then as we head through tomorrow, mainly sunny skies for the city. I do think we're going to see some periods of cloud cover tomorrow, but overall, mainly sunny skies, highs to 28 degrees, and humidex again of about 31. Now, long-range forecast plays out like this: 28 for Friday, 28 again as we head into Saturday to kick off the long weekend. A little bit cooler, though, on Sunday and Monday, but it's the rain that we're talking about. 20, possibly 40 millimeters of rain in some areas. And then Monday, not a washout, but the risk for some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures hover just below the seasonal mark into Tuesday as well. Mirabelle.
All right, thanks, Nick.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
Well, here's a throwback Thursday for you. 17 years ago today, the Rolling Stones headlined a SARS relief concert in Toronto at Downs View Park. Thousands of music fans began streaming into the park at 8 a.m. on July 30th, 2003. Along with the Stones, AC/DC, Rush, Sam Roberts, and Justin Timberlake would take to the stage, performing in front of some 490,000 fans. 17 years ago, I can't believe it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. golf is soaring in popularity during the pandemic, and one young athlete is now hooked. Here's why.
Looking good.
Get up there. Uh-oh.
Go in.
Oh.
That's in! It's in! That's in the hole! Dude, that's in the hole!
It's in the hole.
It's in the hole!
It sure is. Ethan Pettigrew stepped up to the tee at a golf club near Edmonton last week, swung his 9-iron, and hit that hole-in-one. A video of the 16-year-old's golden moment has garnered more than 500,000 views on Twitter. Not bad for a kid who only really started getting into golf this year. Lucky kid. That's our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Good night, everyone. We're going to leave you with the view from Ontario Place tonight, where people gathered in their cars to catch a movie as part of the Lavazza Film Festival. Hope you enjoy tonight, everyone.